Chairman Allen, members of the Board of Regents, President Brunick, my name is Peter Swanson. Along with Eric Cardall, we represent students Alex Miller and Aaron Weigel. Our clients subject to mandatory student fees on the Twin Cities campus as spelled out in our letter. Why should you address this issue now? Well, there's a new president, new provost, and Kaufman Union has $250,000 set aside for renovation of student space next year. What are we asking for? Mainly a written appeals process for individual students. Open forums like this are important, but in writing is better. Why might they appeal? The UW-Madison Supreme Court case and your region's policy require mandatory student fees that funds free speech to be distributed without regard to the viewpoint of the speech. To deal with scarce resources, the university has created a waiting period for groups applying for money. Twin Cities, Duluth, and Morris campuses have 1, 2, and 3-year waiting periods respectively. And there's no rational basis for the different waiting periods on the different coordinate campuses, especially at a 4-year college, unless time goes slower as you go north and west. In truth, the waiting periods were put in place to discourage new viewpoints from receiving mandatory fees after the University of Virginia and the University of Wisconsin Supreme Court rulings came down. Office space is also administered to keep new viewpoints out. After the last renovation of Kaufman Union in 2004, groups that had office space prior to the renovations were, quote, grandfathered into the new space. Kaufman Union's use of the term grandfather or grandfather clause is unfortunate given the term's history in the Deep South. After as money is spent on renovations, some groups chosen by the Office of Equity and Diversity will have semi-permanent office space covering 68% of the second floor of Kaufman. There is no appeal process from this determination by the Office of Equity and Diversity. The unintended consequence of this grandfathering and semi-permanent situation is groups like the Hmong, African, Somali, and Ethiopian student associations do not currently have hard-walled offices. Even if OED blesses these groups and puts them into the 68% of semi-permanent space, what about all the other student groups? What about a new immigrant group in the future that settles in Minnesota? I do not expect the Board of Regents to look at each student group's budget or edit blueprints from Kaufman Union renovations. I just ask for an appeal process for individual students like they have at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. This is a great opportunity for second and third-year law students to gain experience. Minnesota is falling behind its Big Ten rival in providing an added resume benefits for its law school graduates. We would not tolerate it in hockey. We must not tolerate it in mandatory student fees. Implement an appeal process for individual students. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Rick Castillo.